AITA for ghosting my fiance after she called the police on me and lied? I just need a place to vent about what happened recently and to seek advice on how to move forward. Me, 28M, and my fiance, 25F, got engaged 2 weeks ago. We've been together for 5 years now. 3 weeks ago, I came home from work exhausted. When I came home, I saw her and her friend Mike sitting at the dining table. I went over to my GF, kissed her on the cheek and dapped up Mike. I didn't really think too much about him being there since I know him really well and he's known my GF since they were little kids. I just asked him if he wanted a beer or something, but he refused, stating that he was here to talk to me. I was confused at first, but when I looked at their serious expressions, I knew it was something serious. I grabbed a beer from the fridge and sat at the table as well. They started talking about how close me and Mike were getting over the last few years and stuff. I just sat there flabbergasted. I didn't understand what they were trying to get at. I think me and Mike were sort of social buddies. If we were both attending the same social gathering, of course I'd hang out with him, but I never really hung out with him alone or made separate plans with him. I just told them to stop rambling and to get to the point. I was exhausted and really didn't want to beat around the bush any longer. My girlfriend asked me if it was okay if Mike could stay over for a few weeks since he recently got fired and evicted from his place. I told him, of course, he could stay as long as he didn't make a mess and contributed to the household like taking out the trash, etc. He got up, gave me a tight hug and thanked me. Little did I know this man was a filthy alcoholic. The first week things weren't that bad. He just kept to himself, did the chores I asked of him, and it was fun having someone in the house to watch basketball with. After that first week, things took a massive turn. I started seeing empty beer cans everywhere, his dirty socks stuffed into our couch and stuff. I confronted him about it, but he just apologized and told me it wouldn't happen again. I told my fiancée, but she told me to cut him some slack since he was going through a tough time and he would get better. It only got worse. I started seeing dried up vomit on our toilet seat, and that's when I suspected he was an alcoholic. I started seeing empty bottles of rum, whiskey, and vodka everywhere. I kept mentioning it to him, but he always gave the same response as before. My fiancée couldn't care less either, and that pissed me off even more. 5 days ago, I came home from work and my apartment reeked of alcohol. I just lost it. I stormed up to the guest room and found him drinking beer on the bed. I just went off on him. My girlfriend came over and tried to calm me down, but I didn't budge. I told him he had 2 days to clean my apartment and get out, otherwise I was going to call the cops on him. I guess he didn't like what I said one bit. He just got off the bed and charged at me. All I remember is him ramming me into the wall behind me and me hitting my head against a sharp object. The next thing I know, I see an officer pointing a flashlight at my face. I asked him where Mike was and he told me he was in a safe place where I couldn't hurt him. He and another cop grabbed me off the floor and dragged me outside. I saw my girlfriend and Mike talking to a cop. At this point, I'm fading in and out of consciousness. When she looked at me being escorted down the stairs like some rag doll, I wanted to tell her something, but my head just hurt too bad to form any sentence. I got put in the cop car and was driven to the station and put in a holding cell. I kept asking them why, all they responded with is the right to remain silent BS. I remember just sitting in the jail cell with my head feeling like it was going to explode any second while trying to make sense of what just happened. I remember dozing off and at some point being woken up by a cop. He told me I was lucky they didn't press charges on me and I was free to leave. My headache felt much better at this point so I could actually form a sentence. I asked him to explain to me what happened. They told me they received a phone call from my fiancée claiming I was drinking again and got really violent, and her friend had just subdued me to stop me from hurting her. I was so confused, like who was drinking and who got violent. He just told me the same story again. I was beyond pissed at this point. As soon as I got my phone back, I texted my dad to come pick me up and drive me to my apartment. He tried to pose questions as to why I spent the night in jail and I just told him to drive me home. I'll explain later. Once there, I just stormed upstairs to see if my front door was unlocked and to my surprise it was. My now ex-fiancée was sitting on the couch. I could tell she had been crying since her mascara was running down her face. She jumped up and tried to hug me, but I just pushed her off me and told her to get the hell out of my apartment. She tried begging and pleading, but I told her to shut it, pack a few essentials and get out. She left after begging a bit more. I immediately called off from work, claiming I had an injury and just got dispatched from the hospital. That whole day seemed like a fever dream to me. Nothing made sense. Why did my fiancée lie to the cops? That's all I thought about all day. She tried calling me a million times, but I kept ignoring it until I just couldn't hold back anymore. I picked up and told her to explain everything and not dare even think about lying to me. She ended up telling me that after Mike knocked me out, they both started to panic. She was scared of calling the cops on Mike since he was already on probation and this would probably end up destroying his life. She told me, in the heat of the moment, she made a stupid decision to claim that I tried to attack her and Mike protected her and accidentally knocked me out. Her reasoning being I could afford it since I didn't have a criminal record and Mike did. I didn't want to hear any more and just hung up. She texted me all kinds of apologies and tried to call many more times, but I was done. After I started randomly throwing up, I went to the hospital the day after and found out I had a concussion and would be forced to stay home for the next month and beyond. Hurt by this, why would she choose her friend over me? Why did she try and ruin my life to try and save her friends? She tried coming over several times a day, but I never even dared to answer her. I've blocked her on everything, but today I got a text from her mom claiming she tried overdosing on painkillers yesterday and was in the hospital. All she wanted was to see me again. This has made me sort of regret ignoring her. I haven't responded to her mom or anyone for a fact. The only people besides those involved who know are my dad and mom. My mom is taking care of me ATM. I'm really conflicted. On the one hand, I feel like murdering her for what she did, but on the other hand I still love her and feel like she made a genuine mistake. I don't want to feel any more pain. My life is a mess, and by erasing the last 5 years of it probably would just make me end it all. I don't want to see the love of my life being buried over me ignoring her. I don't want to force my poor mother to be my free caretaker for a month. I feel like it's my fiance's responsibility now. I'm so done with everything. I'm literally glued to a bed all day, and my laptop and phone are the only things keeping me sane. I start randomly getting panic attacks and shivering uncontrollably. Please, what should I do? AITA for ignoring her and making her suicidal? Should I allow her to come see me?